And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the All-American Book Club. I'm Eden Gordon Hill, and we are live from our nation's capital, still a shining city on a hill. And I am bringing over to the show someone who I can call friend, but also someone who shares my love of books, also my love of shoes, and also my love of mystery. Can I introduce you guys for the first time here at the All-American Book Club? We have Kimberley Woodhouse. We're going to be talking with her about a couple things. She has, to make no bones about it, the history of fossils coming to life in her newest novel, Set in Stone. We also have, okay, I have to tell you, she has the most amazing mystery series. So she's going to be breaking that down for us too. We have a lot to talk about in a very short period of time. So I'm going to stop yakking and I'm going to bring Kimberley over to the show. But let me just tell you one more thing. She lived in Pennsylvania. She's now in Colorado. She is the mother-in-law of active duty military. She is a best-selling author of more than 30 fiction and nonfiction books. Oh my gosh, can you actually wrap your brain around that one? Anyway, welcome to the show, Kimberley Woodhouse. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Eden. I am just thrilled to be here.
So we have a lot to talk about. Okay. Jersey just came out. A lot to talk about. Okay, you have a dinosaur behind you, and you have Set in Stone, which is a new series that you just that just got published this month in March. And so as we're talking about your books and your creativity, what brought you to writing about bones?
Well, I actually love this story. I think it's a lot of fun because I had like 5 really well laid out ideas, for my editor when my editor said, "Hey, what do you want to do next?" And so I told her all these ideas, but then I not accidentally, but threw it out on Facebook for my readers and I said, "Hey, what would you guys like to see in my historical suspense?" And so I had all kinds of wonderful stuff that was thrown out. But then my friend Laura threw out, she goes, "The Bone Wars." And I thought, oh, yeah. Because so many people don't know about this really cool piece of our American history. And I actually have had the wonderful privilege of being connected with Earl Douglas's granddaughter. Her name is Diane Douglas Iverson. And she is just phenomenal. They gave me permission to use all of his quotes and field journals, and I got to just meet amazing people that they knew and that she connected me with. And Earl is the one who founded the quarry that is there, that is Dinosaur National Monument in the United States right now. So he's kind of famous. He's pretty cool. And getting to read his story and diving into all of this, I really found this cool subject of science and faith and how they go together and paleontology. And like when I threw it out to my editor, when I just said, "Hey, somebody said this," she goes, "Who doesn't love dinosaurs? Let's do that one." So Set in Stone is actually book 2 in the series. Secrets Beneath is book 1.
Yes, I have that one right here. Yep. Yes.
They're very suspenseful, I think, because I love suspense. So it's historical with dinosaurs. Yes, dinosaurs. Women in paleontology, because women in the field, it was very, very difficult for them, still is to this day, which I find quite
really.
Yes.
You uncovered that's actually just really well known, that it's just really hard for women in the field. Why is
that? One of the female paleontologists that I talked with, Dr. Sue Ann Bilby, she'd even had a discovery stolen from her. And this is in her lifetime. This is somebody alive today that I got to speak with. And so it is not easy for women still in this day, in paleontology. So the first book, Secrets Beneath, I thought it would be fun because when I was doing research, I found out it was vulgar for women to dig in the dirt, back in that time. And I thought, well, man, I would have been in trouble. But that's why it was not good, for women, because it was thought of as vulgar. If you were a higher society woman, you didn't dig in the dirt. So anyway,
but I have so many questions though, the historical piece and then present day piece. And us being here in our nation's capital, the history around it.
Yes.
And the things that have not even been uncovered. I'm kind of curious and I'm not trying to go down a random path, but I'm just kind of curious, have you been able to tap into some of the treasures here in our nation's capital that maybe you're shaking your head, yes. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. So can you share any? Can you talk a little bit to that?
Well, I don't want to give
Oh,
anything away because I'm hoping to do another series
oh
coming
wow.
up. It's
So,
research that I've actually been doing. And it all started because I was asked by Barber to be the anchor of a series years
uh-huh.
ago, and it was the Daughters of the Mayflower. So they wanted to follow American events, historical events, and follow like a family, generations, through this. So they asked me if I would do the first book and then several books in the series. So it's a multi-author series. And so I did the very first one, The Mayflower Bride. And I remember calling the editor, Becky, and I said, I want to poke my eyes out because the research was so brutal for the Mayflower. But one of the books that I got to do later, I did 4 in the series, was called The Patriot Bride.
Oh,
And it was because it was
yep.
1774 to 1776, I think was
Yep.
the time span of that novel. And I had so much fun researching George Washington and Benjamin Franklin that then I just did this, nosedive into all research. And there's just a lot of fun things that I would love to bring out that most people don't know about.
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, can you give a little time frame as to when you think this could come out? I mean, are we talking end of this year, next year? I mean, now I'm on the edge of my seat. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because
I
there's
love
just
it.
so much information in our nation's capital. I think
Yes.
so many people who walk the halls of Congress just scratch the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started working there, I remember it was a part of the onboarding. You get a Capitol tour and you study to know how to give a Capitol tour. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember going through those, onboarding processes, but I think a lot of that is just kind of pushed away now.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think a lot of that, and everybody's trying to remove the history. And, so how can we reestablish this powerful history of our nation through your new books? And I'm just so excited. I'm rambling at this point, but that's what
I
I love
love it.
about the show. Um, so obviously you really can't give a time frame. So anyway, I'll just sit on the edge of my seats.
Not yet. Yeah, I have books contracted, probably 5 a year for the next few
Okay.
years. And
Oh,
so
okay.
it is, hopefully it is coming, but I'm
Okay.
super excited about it because I love the research so much and I love our country. I love the history of our country. And the more I dug into it, the more I found and finding, journals, old journals, and reading firsthand accounts from
Mhm.
these people and what they went through and what they did and sacrificed, for our country. We take so much for granted. We take so much
Yes.
for granted.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm hoping that we can dive into it because one of the things that my readers love in my historicals is the fact that they love that I am able to connect them with history that they normally don't know much about. And so
Absolutely.
then they want to dig and they want to learn some more themselves. And I'm hoping that that's what we can do as well, especially our country's just the best country and it is so amazing and it's
Yes.
phenomenal and our history is so cool. And
Yes.
I just hope people
Yes.
that don't, ignore our history.
Yeah, we need to bring it back to life. We need to
Yes.
bring it back to life in the school systems. We need to bring it back to life in the university systems. We
Mhm.
need to bring it back to life around our kitchen tables and our conversations, our front porch
Exactly.
conversations. We need to bring it back to life in our military bases. We need to bring it back to life. Our veterans can bring it back to life. If you just sit down and go over to a VFW or American Legion or a
Mhm.
Veterans Center, they will bring American history back to life. And
Yes.
that's what we need more than anything. Our nation needs to be, they need a healing, we need a healing balm. And that is the beautiful, God fearing foundation that was set out. Wouldn't you
I
agree?
100% agree.
Yeah.
100%.
So, wow, the time of this show just goes by too quickly. And I just scratched the surface with my amazing authors. I want to transition. So, we've talked
Okay.
about Set in Stone, which came out in March, which
Mhm.
is going to be a bestseller, obviously. I want to transition over to a book I cannot put down as well.
Okay.
And my husband is asking me, where am I tonight? And I'm like, I'm sitting finishing this book. Your series, do I dare? It's basically Alaskan cyber hunters security
Yes.
series.
Mhm.
And I absolutely love it. Can't put it down. And to all of my listeners out there, if you are looking for a thriller, a mystery, a female heroine, you know, all of those pieces. You're going to get this, you're going to get some faith in there as well. But you bring some major national security issues to the very forefront in your books. And so I want you to kind of break it down. What got you to writing about these national security issues? We're here in our nation's capital, and I'm sitting here saying, do these people in our nation really, in our nation's capital, really know about a lot of these things that are actually taking place that maybe the media is not talking about, but we're going to talk about this morning?
Ooh, that's exciting. So it actually all started, my husband, I have to give him credit because he's absolutely amazing and he's the best man on the planet. But I was writing other suspense that was taking place in Alaska. We lived in Alaska, so we have a huge heart for Alaska and for our nation, and also just for portraying it accurately, because so many people don't get Alaska right.
Right.
And so after living there, it's just a completely different thing. And we're both from South Louisiana. So, talk about culture shock, it was huge for us. My husband had never been north or west of Dallas, and then we moved to Alaska. So, but he rolls over one night and he always says that I'm the creative, crazy person, and that he doesn't know how to brainstorm, and he's the best brainstormer. But he rolled over and he said, okay, so what if all the power goes out when it hits 26 below in Alaska? And of course, he rolls back over and starts snoring, and, it's totally fine. And me, the wheels are turning. So the idea for this story came from him, but then it grew and it grew and it grew. And I really wanted to have, kind of like Amazon has a category of techno thriller. I kind of wanted to have that in there, but I wasn't sure what the exact element needed to be, for present day, for our country, futuristic, also talking about what's going to happen and how are we going to deal with this, until my daughter married Stephen, and he is active military, and he went to West Point long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And then when they got married, they actually got married on West Point, and because he was working for the Army Cyber Institute there. So I call him my high value target because he's way up there. He does amazing things for the military and stuff, I can't talk about and I can't know about the majority of it. And he is currently working at NORAD. So he does all kinds of really cool stuff, but that's his expertise is computer science, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. So I started bugging him and I said, so what can I do with this series? And he really helped me shape it into the cyber that it is, because the biggest threat that we face here on out is not the terrorism that we think of from the past.
Right. Like 9/11.
Yes. Which was horrific and absolutely awful. And we need to remember that. I wish the younger generation knew that better, what we experienced and what happened.
Yes.
Cyber terrorism is the big thing and what they can do. So it's kind of based off of a project that Stephen was very active on, and you can look it up online. It was called the Jack-Voltaic Project, which was done by the Army Cyber Institute. And the whole point was to help train cities how to continue functioning and how to keep communications going. Because when you think about it, and that's what I address in 26 Below, is the fact that somebody can shut everything down, and then they can shut down emergency services. They can shut down power, water, cell, internet, all of this stuff, everything that we take for granted that takes seconds for us to function, right? This is what keeps us functioning. And then what do governments do? What do the leaders and the people in authority do to make sure that people are okay and they're surviving? So then, to add an extra element, in Alaska, it's 26 below. People in the lower 48 probably can't fathom
that. Yeah.
what that really is like. I call it nose hair freezing weather, because the first time that happened to me, I was like, why didn't anybody warn me? Because it just
go
freezes.
get ice cream? Did you still go get ice cream?
Yes.
I could not get over that that Alaskans still stand in line to get ice cream when it's that cold. Really? Sorry, I divert. But I had to ask you that.
It's hilarious. Alaskans eat more ice cream than anybody else.
That's crazy. That's just crazy. Yep. Anyway,
go stand in line with our kids. I just thought it was funny. So I had to put that in the book, right?
Oh
But
my gosh.
and throughout the series, so this is a series. I normally don't do cliffhangers and I normally don't do things like that. And the series can be connected, but this one is highly connected.
Mhm,
So things ramp up and progress
mhm,
as you are watching what happens with this group of people
mhm,
who, basically, if you think of Batman, they want to watch the world burn, right? Um, and then you have one guy in particular who just really is beginning to, my phrase, go off the rails.
mhm,
And
mhm,
how are we going to handle this? And
mhm.
what are our authorities? How are they going to handle this? And how are they going to make sure that people don't die, in the midst of all of this? Because it can be a catastrophic event. So everything that's in there is real and
Mhm.
can happen right here and right now. It's kind of scary to think about,
It is. It
but
is. Because as I'm reading 8 down, and like I said, I can't put it down literally.
thank you.
But I sat there and just thought, about a month ago, you and I were together at a
Mhm,
conference, and I had been in Washington the week before, and we were in Nashville that week for that
mhm,
conference. And I had said to a colleague of mine, what if the grid, what if the grid goes down? What do we
mhm,
do? How do we connect? What happens? And going off of our mutual friend Lynette Eason and one of her mystery books, she talks about satellite phones. So I
mhm,
called my husband immediately and I said, I know you had a sat phone in Iraq. We have got to get sat phones. So you and I meet up at the conference the next week, and lo and behold, AT&T, some
yep,
of Verizon and some of T-Mobile phones were down. But the only way of method of communication was if you were iPhone to iPhone user, you could not get through to any other user.
mhm,
And I sat there and thought, who still has landlines? Not many people do. But that was just a blip on the screen of cybersecurity, if you will. I mean,
mhm,
you and I both know they
yes,
that continues. We continue to see those buttons being pushed.
mhm,
So on the cliffhanger piece, you have 26 below, 8 down, and then from the cliffhanger aspect, there's one more in this series, correct? That's coming out.
yes.
Okay.
70
And
North, and it
seven.
releases in October. Mhm.
Okay. Now, is this 3 in this series, or will there be 4 in this series?
Just 3 in this series.
Okay. Okay. And I know that you can pre-order 70 North because I already have.
Yay! Thank
So
you very much.
absolutely. As we wrap here at the All American Book Club, though, I want people to be able to connect with you.
Mhm,
Obviously, they can follow you on Twitter, they can follow you on all the social channels.
mhm.
But are you going to be doing any type of book tours with your with Set in Stone, and also with the fall book coming out? Will you be doing any type of traveling the Southeast? I know you're in Colorado. Will you be
Mhm.
doing book tours out there? What's that look like for you?
I do a lot of book tours and have done a lot in the past. This year, all of my travel is more speaking and conferences, and I
Okay.
do have book signings and things like that, events that we'll be posting about.
Okay.
But next year, there will be some more tours, and we're also talking about going back to Alaska because I love to go back to Alaska and do book tours up there because I write about Alaska a lot. So
Okay.
out of my 40th book is 70 North. So when 70 North releases, that'll be my 40th release. And way
Wow.
more than half of all of my books are set in Alaska because I love the state so much. So I know that we'll be going back to Alaska and scheduling a book tour there as well.
Just as a side note before we wrap, are you friends with Debbie Makeover?
I know her.
Okay. Only because she and her husband lived in Alaska for a
Mhm,
very long time while he was working there. And a
mhm.
lot of her books are very much focused on Alaska. And you both have such a love and admiration for the state. I just had to throw that out there. She's another favorite author of mine. But I was
She's
just kind
great.
of curious. Yes, she is great. She
She
is.
is phenomenal. I just would like to say thank you. I like to say this as much as I can to
Yeah.
all of our active military and all of our public servants and people who are serving in this country because people don't realize
Yeah.
what it takes to serve, right?
Yes.
And what it takes to keep things going, the way that things are going. And so I just want to say thank you and express my appreciation. And I've tried to really express it through the Alaskan Cyber Hunters series because there's a lot of law enforcement agency, there's a lot of FBI, ABI, There's a lot of government officials, a lot of military that are part of it. And, Stephen, I just have so much respect. We have long-term military families on both sides of our family, and it's beautiful to see that in the next generation and my daughter's family now.
Absolutely. Well, Kimberly Woodhouse, I am so grateful to call you friend, and I'm so grateful to
Mm.
have you here at the All American Book Club. And you've got to come back. We've got to talk
Please,
about the new books coming
please.
out. And
Okay.
looking forward to supporting you on your fall tour. So thank you so much for joining the All American Book Club.
Thank you, Eden. You are the best.